Hello and welcome to this video. In this video I'll show you how straightforward it can be to query complex legal databases, even if you have no specific technical background in RDF or Sparkle queries. Legal data, especially legislative databases, can seem daunting. However, with the tool we are using today, GraphDB, and Talk to Your Graph, you will see that it can be user-friendly and accessible in its own way. Let's begin by setting up the GraphDB. We will visit the OntoText website to download the recommended version. The version that we recommend is GraphDB version 10.8, which contains the Talk to Your Graph feature needed to replicate what we are showcasing today. We will demonstrate the entire setup process here, since it involves filling specific forms. So instead, we would like to simply mention that you can visit this website, and we will be continuing to show how the setup works on our servers where this process is already in place. To showcase the specific data that we will be using, let's introduce the FedLex, Switzerland Comprehensive Legal Database. It's organized according to functional requirements for bibliographic records. Principles of this provide rich metadata, well structured for legal documents. For a quick preview, I would like to show you the base reference, which you can see here. Because the data is connected and built using the Ferber, it is well connected and structured for possibility to use in the navigation and querying. Next, I will give you a brief tour of the GraphDB environment which we'll be using. This is already set up with the FedLex data on our servers. Within this environment, there are two graphs. The ontological graph, which contains the Ferber semantics and the Jolux ontology, as well as a separate graph, which contains the data itself. If you are unfamiliar with Ferber, it's a conceptual model for bibliographic databases. For a high-level introduction and the basic diagrams, please check out the basic introduction. To make this data even more understandable for the Talk to Your Graph application, we have implemented the Shackle application profiles and a couple of agents to streamline the querying. You can see a visualization of how these Shackle work here. You can see that we have captured several classes and specific properties, which will be core to the queries which we'll be performing later, so that the Talk to Your Graph agent can understand the data better. The beauty of Talk to Your Graph is how quickly and user-friendly it is to set up and requires minimal technical knowledge. Once set up, you can form queries in a very straightforward manner. Before we dive into the natural language queries, let's look at the existing FedLex Sparkle queries, in addition to the standard Sparkle endpoint that the FedLex provides. This is a part of the website that we saw earlier, and you can see here the Sparkle query itself and a set of predefined queries that the users can utilize to get a business overview of the underlying data. However, these predefined queries use only titles and are often concise and might not provide enough explicit detail for the AI agents to parse the complex request. So our next goal is to transform these brief labels into more textual, descriptive prompts for the AI to interpret. You can see here one example where we select a specific title and get a constructed query according to this title. We can use the query titled 103, which has a title list of all CC with CC number, title, abbreviation in all available languages. If we look at the query itself, we can see that it is rather complex. And for the agent, we might need to be more explicit about the description as well. For example, we could say, retrieve active consolidation abstract with items, including their number, decision date, current version date, and any available titles and abbreviations in multiple language, and exclude items that are marked to be skipped or those that are no longer in force. This extended level of clarity gives the AI agent enough context to generate precise queries without confusion. With our refined textual prompt, we can jump back into the Talk to Your Graph interface. This is located here under Labs and Talk to Your Graphs. You can see that there is a set of agents that are established. For today's showcase, we are using Fedlex Agent 3. And when looking into the detail, you can see that we have a query method Sparkle and full text search enabled. You can also see here the set of shackle constraints that we have defined in order to execute these queries more accurately on top of the existing ontology. To continue, I will paste the improved description and let the Talk to Your Graph translate it into Sparkle query behind the scene. So this is the query we have defined before, and we let the Talk to Your Graph execute the query and transform it into a Sparkle query. You can see that this process takes some time as the AI agent has to understand the specific text and transform it into the desired query. Here we can see the results as we would expect. So we have received the different consolidation abstract CCs along with their number, decision date, and current version. If we would want to understand better what this query performed on the technical level, we can ask to have explanation of the specific response, where the agent indicates the different queries it did. In this case, you can see that it attempted many different queries in order to get into a state which would give us a result that we expect. So the application is automatically able to iterate and learn from its mistakes until it gets into a query that returns result as would be expected. So you can see here we have the selection of the expected properties and the query according to the indications we have provided. If this would not have succeeded in the first case, we could simply also refine the human language that we are providing until the Talk to Your Graph would understand our request in the way that we require. It is that simple. We could repeat this process for the different queries that the Fedlex offers, always reintegrating the complexity of the original Sparkle query into a human language and test it against the ontology as it is established in the GraphDB and the Talk to Your Graph. As we noted earlier, it is also required potentially to iterate on the agent setting, establishing new shackle constraints, which would enable the Talk to Your Graph to understand better the constraints, and this way set up more refined application for this use case. So that is our quick journey. We explored how to utilize GraphDB, introduced to it the Fedlex legislative data, demonstrated the existing Talk to Your Graph environment, and showcased how refining these queries can help the AI to fetch the right data. While there are still improvements to be made in how the AI understands the complex legal data, this is an encouraging start and highlights how semantic data, especially intricate legal resources, can be made accessible to any user. For further queries or assistance, feel free to reach out. Thank you for watching and happy querying.